And of course, the reason they only ran for 1972 is, in some ways, quite obvious.
Quite obvious.
Welcome to WatchMojo UK, and today we're looking at 10 items from Antiques Roadshow that will make your skin crawl.
You have the body, very nice jointed body.
Number 10, hair brooch.
This brooch was given to the Duchess of Wellington by the great Duke of Wellington. It is made of his hair.
If there's one thing the 19th century succeeded at, it was making weird jewelry. An elderly woman brought on a little box and revealed that it contained a very unusual brooch made of human hair.
So I don't think this is an appropriate gift at all. I think what happens is that this is the hair of the Duchess herself.
Hair jewelry is certainly less common now, but as the expert explains, for centuries, trinkets made from the hair of loved ones were very common. Interestingly though, the expert says that the note in the box is likely wrong. It says it's the Duke of Wellington's hair, but he believes it would have been a gift from the Duchess, and the history has got muddled.
It's a bow, a love knot of the Duchess's own hair, taken from her when she died, woven up as a memorial jewel.
But what's creepier than having the hair of a loved one in a box is keeping a dead stranger's hair.
I had an idea of giving it to Ashley House.
The home of the Duke of Wellington, number 1 London it's called, where it'll be preserved forever and a day.
Number 9, toy family.
So these were made by Blythe, German toy company, and this monkey is well known in Blythe circles as Jocko the monkey.
Mark Allen was handed a trio of toys over 100 years old, a lamb, a doll, and a monkey. They were old family heirlooms from the early 20th century, but in their condition, they were certainly eerie, particularly when seeing the photograph of the lamb in its original, pristine condition versus how it looked now. Not that that matters too much, these are toys meant to be played with after all, valuable as they are to modern collectors.
A very well-known Blythe character, first made in 1908. This is a good original Jocko.
The monkey is, of course, the creepiest, resembling the eternally frightening Jolly Chimp toy. Luckily, this monkey didn't have any symbols or moving pieces to scare us with, and he was worth 900 quid.
That's what we call well-loved. And it's a really nice euphemism for something that's completely worn out.
Number 8, musical automaton.
And as a treat once a year, if my sister and I really played our cards right, she would be brought out and my grandmother would wind her up.
What could be creepier than an allegedly haunted doll? Nothing, which is why we're going to show you a few of them. This automaton is a fascinating curiosity, made around the turn of the 20th century. They just don't make objects like this anymore, and it's a wonderful piece of workmanship.
They weren't for children at all. They were actually made for adults as after-dinner entertainment pieces, really.
But equally, you can't say it's not frightening. It's the kind of thing that, if you had it displayed in your house, you'd walk past always slightly afraid that it was going to start moving on its own accord. Interestingly, the doll originally came from France, but was sold in a Spanish market, somehow making its way to the UK, where it could appear on the Roadshow.
So I'm going to just give her a bit of a wind at the back there. Turn the knob.
Number 7, the Cottingley Fairies.
Now, I suppose a silly question that's been said many times is, do you believe in fairies?
Are these famous photographs true proof of the supernatural? While experts and scientists have long since explained the Cottingley Fairies as a hoax, there are still many believers, including the women who brought the photos on, one of whom was the daughter of one of the 2 girls responsible for the pictures.
The story is that these 2 children, one age 16, one age 10, believed there were fairies in the bottom of their garden.
She was Francis Griffith's daughter, Christine, and she said she thought the pictures were genuine. Many more people still believe in the story of the Cottingley Fairies, and they had a very famous supporter in eminent writer Arthur Conan Doyle. They're a real part of history, and truth aside, the pictures of these fairies are now worth a fortune.
They came back with the camera and said, we can prove there are fairies. And these were accepted at the time, weren't they?
Number 6. Donald Duck.
90% of the Pelham puppets I see are worth very, very little because they're dating from the 60s.
Often creepier than dolls, there have occasionally been puppets on the Roadshow. This one is a 1950s Pelham puppet made to look like Donald Duck. The difference in price between a puppet made in the 50s and the 60s is stark, with the more recent ones only being worth about £20 at the time of the valuation, while the older ones are worth 5 times that.
And I think he was yours, was he?
He was mine.
And did he have any other Disney companions?
He's got Minnie Mouse and Pluto.
Pelham marionettes were made widely in the middle of the century, which is why they aren't even more valuable. But beloved as Disney's characters are now, licensed products based on them in early iterations are often unrecognizable and arguably sinister.
You also need to have them untangled, well this is almost untangled,
Almost.
in its original box, and then, as with Donald Duck, we'd be talking about a figure of perhaps £100.
Number 5. Bisque dolls.
Did you like it, or did you find it a bit...
No, I liked it. I was
Because I-
rather fascinated by it. And I did used to put the different heads on from time to time.
What's worse than a scary old doll in a box? A scary old doll with 3 detachable heads lined up alongside. Like all frightening dolls, these ones are also dated to the late 19th century and originate on the continent. These particular ones are German. The different heads have different eye colors and hairstyles, offering you surprising customizability.
And I think that one of the aspects of this that appeals to me so much is the fact that it is in its original case, with the label still there.
But still, it's an assortment of tiny porcelain children's heads in a box, all in that dead-eyed Victorian style. They were, however, in remarkable condition, with the maker's marks intact, including with their original cardboard box. And despite being played with by the owner, they're still almost immaculate.
The doll herself, just as she comes, would be worth perhaps £300 or £400.
Number 4. Blythe dolls.
Well, I think what's hysterical about them is the massive head, the eyes, and then the tiny feet.
The tiny feet.
I mean, that
Absolutely.
Debuting in 1972, the scary big-eyed Blythe dolls weren't exactly a hit. They were in production for just a year, though since the early 2000s, the brand has been revived by a Japanese company that makes new ones. The new ones are certainly less frightening, though they do still have the large eyes.
But of course, they do have one special feature, which makes them even more terrifying.
Go on.
For most little girls,
Yeah.
which is, if you pull this string, 50-year-old there,
The eyes change
the
colour.
eyes change colour.
This one, however, is a 70s original, bought by the current owner's mother from the US. Even scarier, their eyes can spin all the way around and change color. Because these ones were so scary though, they were untouched, kept pristine in the back of a cabinet with their original packaging and clothes.
So I think in today's market, you'd certainly be looking at 300 for this, and certainly 1,000 for the doll.
Already.
I would say maybe 5,000.
Number 3. The Artist's Halt in the Desert by Richard Dadd.
It's been in the family for quite a while. My grandfather gave it to my mother in 1930.
This watercolor itself isn't creepy, but the circumstances in which it was painted certainly are. Painted in 1845, The Artist's Halt in the Desert was done by Victorian painter Richard Dadd while confined in Bethlehem Hospital. Dadd was in the infamous psychiatric hospital from 1843 to the 1860s, at which point he was moved to Broadmoor, where he lived the rest of his life, now believed to have been suffering from paranoid schizophrenia.
It is an extraordinary painting. I don't know who this painting is by. I know it's a wonderful painting. I would hope that some indications, it would be too much to hope, really, that this was a lost painting by Richard Dadd.
As therapy while confined, Dadd was encouraged to paint, and this is one of the many works he produced. It was more notable, however, for the fact that it mysteriously disappeared, only to miraculously turn up on Antiques Roadshow in 1987.
Obviously, I've only had a few minutes to look at this and it needs some investigation.
Number 2. A doll with a doll.
There were very big porcelain-making factories and doll factories in that part of Germany. Sadly, very few remain.
Another porcelain doll, she fell into the hands of a toy shop owner in the 1970s after her previous owner sold her. The woman has kept the doll ever since, not knowing how much it was worth, but it ends up being a Kammer and Reinhardt's, which, if you know anything about dolls, you'll know made some of the most valuable and coveted antique dolls in history.
To make her sit, she has these very good joints, so they're creaking a bit.
Like me.
Oh, I haven't heard you creak.
She ends up being worth £3,000, but what's creepy about her, other than her dead stare and those painted eyes, is that she's carrying a second, far smaller doll in her hand, which is apparently her child.
And a lovely little doll, all Bisque, which is her baby.
Yes.
Sweet little doll.
Number 1. Witch's Bottle.
Now, you thought it might be port or wine. That would have been nice.
This legendary clip remains embarrassing to this day, but it's got a very sinister origin. Not to mention, few things are as stomach-turning as accidentally drinking centuries-old urine because you wrongly thought it was port. It wasn't just full of wee though, it also had some pins, human hair, and a sea shrimp.
Well, you made me it tasted really rusty. Well, inside were these brass pins, all of these dating from the late 1840s.
As Fiona Bruce explains, after the analysis was done on the bottle, it was originally intended to be buried underneath the threshold of a house where it would guard the residents against witchcraft.
In the liquid, urine,
yummy.
a tiny bit,
such good news.
a tiny bit of alcohol, and one human hair. And a mysterious little creature called an ostracod.
We're not sure if its magical properties will remain intact after it was broken into, but it's certainly a creepy window into a more superstitious time.
What this was not a bottle of port or wine, but a witch's bottle. So buried in the threshold of the house as a talisman against witchcraft.
Let us know in the comments what Antiques Roadshow video you want us to do next.